So let's get into meeting Andy now that he has been mentioned, because he's actually one of your mentors, right?
He's yeah, he is my mentor, yeah. And he presided over my transition from being a teenager to a productive adult.
Do you want to give me a little more about that before we introduce Andy?
Okay, for sure. A few years back, when I was just about to graduate from high school, yeah, I went through a little bit of a rough spot in my personal life. During high school, I kind of went. There was a period where I did good in high school for a couple years, and so it looked like I was going to overcome a lot of the demons that I faced growing up. Like some of the demons I had growing up were bullying. I even had my personal bully. His name was Woo. Yeah, I dealt with that, and I and then I also struggled with fitting in with others, and I left my hometown of Estes Park, Colorado, and went to high school in Florence High School. And at first it started out well, but I kind of continued struggling with the fitting in with people, and I had another mental breakdown. And then in 2016 my parents split due to circumstances that I won't mention, but they split. And afterwards I got in touch with Andy. At the time he was coaching my older brother, and he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So I took the opportunity and asked my mom if I could inherit my brother's lessons from Andy, because I knew that if I wanted to rebuild myself, I was going to need someone who could show me the ropes of being a professional person, And I knew that Andy was the perfect fit for it.
Now, we're going to let Andy talk here. Apparently, Andy, you already knew who Doug was because of his brother. What are you doing besides acting that you were helping his brother that put you and Doug together?
Thanks for that. Yeah, I think it was earlier than that, actually, Doug. I think it was around 2015, because we've been together for a long time now.
Yeah, I think it was one of them.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, no, his brother I got in touch with his brother through a friend of the family where they lived in Estes Park, who was involved in acting, and their daughter was in acting. So the family connected up and said, hey, Doug's brother was interested in acting, so they put him onto me, and we worked together it was probably maybe a good year, I think, together. But then things changed in his life, so that stopped, and then Doug came on board, and we really actually didn't have an agenda. It was like we just worked together. Like, it was very organic. Doug was into authoring. He'd already written 5 or 6 books, or 6 books at the time. And so we really just worked on the things of his passion rather than adding more to his life. So we just worked on the books and created exercises into, skills in writing and making sure he was right up with that. And then one of the big things, he had a YouTube channel where he was interviewing people, and he'd had a few interviews on there. And I said, look, I'm no expert in social media, but you need to build up your following. So let's Google some ideas and skills on doing that to build your YouTube channel. And then so I left that in his hands. Everything I do, I dump in his lap so that he takes it on. And he took it on. And from probably back when we first started, he had maybe less than 100 followers to now where he's close to 6,000. And so everything I give Doug comes from. So if like I said, I'm no expert in any of these areas, but I'll research and look for things, and then I'll just throw it at him and say, okay, where you go, use Google and YouTube. And so I get him to do all the work, and it's quite incredible over the years. His confidence has got up. He's interviewing people from, apart from our Relentless and Unstoppable series, he's still doing that. We created the Relentless and Unstoppable series on his YouTube channel, which is called Movie Maker Doug 55. We had logos made up. I got them made up. And the reason we started is because I said, Doug and myself were already working on his 8th book, a science fiction book, which we're still working on. And I said to him, listen, I'm going to interview you, and I think you need to put it on your channel so people can hear your story of your journey, where it's gone, because it's amazing. And then that led to, when we did it, I went, you know what? I said, I've got a heap of people we could interview. So then that's how it was born. And
Wow.
now we've interviewed over, I don't know, Doug, what is it? Must be 28 people by now from around the world.
30. I think 30.
Oh, 30. Okay, so yeah, it's growing, and now currently we're right in the middle of a program where Doug is taking on a much bigger role, and it's a project that it's from my self-expression and leadership role at Landmark. It's a course that anyone can do once they've done the forum, and what this is, it's where non-profits are born, and there's been over 100,000 non-profits born out of this program. And one of them, because Landmark is all around the world, but one of them in Australia is called Are You OK Day. And that was born out of this exact program I'm in. And now it's one of the biggest mental health one day a year where everybody gets on board around Australia. It's huge. It's got, like, it was just a couple of guys who got together and formed what I'm doing now, forming a community, and he wanted to do with mental health and suicide awareness, and he did, and it was successful like many, many other programs. So when I took on this community project, ours is forming social media platforms, whatever they may be, Facebook, Instagram, and we've got website builders. So I created a community, and now that community is taking on its own power. So we've got people from Nigeria, all around Australia, in America, and everyone's offering their own little skills. So we have a wonderful girl in Australia who Doug's connecting up with. She's going to be doing the Instagram page and Discord. We have another guy I'm talking to tonight in Perth, Australia. He's going to be doing the Facebook page or Facebook group. And another lady, her brother's a website builder from the ABC station in Melbourne. So he's going to help us. And what it is, it's going to be having people like Doug, or people who are vision impaired, hearing impaired, people with disabilities in wheelchairs, or, the elderly, anyone who's suffering with, anyone who's dealing with autism, epilepsy, cerebral palsy, which we've had all those people on our show. It's giving everyone an opportunity to share their creative talents, whether it's art, writing, poetry, drawing, photography, movie making. So that's the project one at the moment. He's taking a big role. Like, he just keeps lifting up, because I just keep throwing it at him and he takes it on. And it's amazing.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It sounds like he's pretty amazing. And I only got to be around him for 2 days. Doug, you didn't mention you got a couple of books. And I say couple. I think Andy, you just said what? 5, 6, 7?
8. Yeah. 2 of them were bestsellers on Amazon. Only in the last, I'd say maybe less than 12 months, one of them got to 300th bestseller on Amazon for what's the title, Doug? Biographies of an Autism.
It's The Amazing Comeback of an Autistic Spokesperson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that got in 15th, I think it was 15th in the UK.